Good morning, Don Winter from Panama Guide. Hey, I'm going to be doing something here as part of the upgrade to the subscriber access to the website. What I'm going to be doing is just a kind of a quick review, and I'm going to actually start a stopwatch on this. Let me take a look. All right, there's a time hack. What I want to do is just a quick review of the stories that are in the news and call it like news in 10 minutes of what's going on today. Hopefully the idea is to put these on YouTube so you can just look at the video or just let it run and you'll hear what's happening and kind of get just an idea of what's making the headlines. I want to try to keep these down to 10 minutes and I don't know how often I'll be doing them, maybe once a week, twice a week, maybe every day if I can get around to it. The trick is going to be how quick I can do the production. Can I make the video, crank it out on YouTube and get it out without not having to spend a lot of time on the production. That's going to be the kicker. So we'll see how this goes, and let me see how this works. I am going to run a stopwatch because that's going to help me to be honest on the time, and you can see that I'm just figuring out just exactly what the hell it is that I'm doing here and see how long this is how it's going to work. All right, so off we go. First off, the public ministry is neither denying or confirming that they've got a protected witness in the case with La Prensa and the company called Transcaribe Trading S.A. If you remember, the La Prensa newspaper was in a conflict with this company. They did some reporting on some contracts that the company did. They're building roads all over the country. And then these guys apparently sent their trucks over to block the entrance to La Prensa to keep La Prensa from being able to deliver their newspapers. So it was a big scandal, and now supposedly they've got a protected witness, but the public ministry is not saying that he's protected witness or not. Anyway, it's something that La Prensa is covering completely because obviously it has to do with their company, and it's a case that they're involved in. Okay, next story. That was out of La Prensa, of course. This is off to the Panama America. The Panama America says, or according to the government, that they're saving now they're saving $30 million a year in electrical use by the government because of changes that they've implemented in the way that they do business. According to the comptroller, the government and the government offices use 17.2% of all of the energy in the country, which sounds like a lot to me, but that's what according to them. And again, according to this story that came out today, which is in the Panama America, and the Panama America kind of supports the government to a certain extent, they're saying that they're now saving $30 million a year. They've cut their consumption or their use of the way they're doing business and saving $30 million a year from the budget through efficiency or what have you. So that's that. Okay, off to the Estrella newspaper, and there's a story here talking about Alberto Vallarino, who used to be the Minister of Economy and Finance. The Cambio Democrático party of Ricardo Martinelli, they're trying to figure out who's going to be their candidate for the 2014 elections. They're trying to get Alberto Alemán Zubieta, who used to be the administrator of the Panama Canal. He recently left that office. They're trying to get him to be the candidate, but he hasn't said yes or no. I think he's still considering his options. In the meantime, now they're floating the name of Alberto Vallarino as a possibility for the candidate for 2014. He's run for presidency a couple of times. He obviously wants to be the president of the country. Whether or not he'd be a good candidate for the Cambio Democrático remains to be seen. The point being is that party, the largest political party in the world, in the country, which is currently in charge of the country, has not defined their candidate for the 2014 elections. So that's their topic of conversation today. In La Crítica, apparently there was a police operation in Curundú in Cabo Verde this morning. They do these things. They'll just mobilize all the cops and roll into a neighborhood and take over an area and basically round up all the bad guys. Apparently they caught 10 people who were wanted. They had different kinds of wants and warrants against them in this. They went in at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that's always fun. And they go in armed to the teeth, and they know they're going into bad neighborhoods, and they just round everybody up, and they're looking for bad guys. So that was this morning. There's another conflict going on that's been making news for the last couple of days. between the mayor of Panama City, Roxana Mendez, and they call them council members, basically the city council. She submitted her budget, and then the city council basically disapproved it. So now they're fighting over what the money is going to happen, where the money is, where it goes, who spends what, how that works. I saw her on an interview this morning, and she says, "Hey, listen, we've been pouring millions of dollars into these individual neighborhoods, and there's not good accountability on how the money's being spent." So she's making sounds of, it's an anti-corruption kind of a thing. The council members are fighting over that. Anyway, so there's just a conflict. The city council is basically controlled by one party, it's the PRD, and then the mayor is Roxana Mendez, and she's CD. So they're kind of butting heads over a power play there within Panama City, but they'll figure it out. They always pass a budget, and they always pretty much follow that budget. So let's see here. There was a drug bust, when 17 kilograms of drugs, coke busted in Chiriquí. There's a control point in Guabala de Tolé in Chiriquí. It's near the Panama-Costa Rica border, and it's just one of those places where they routinely check vehicles that are coming through, and they do get drug busts there all the time. So there was another one, 17 kilos. I mean, it's nothing to hear drug busts routinely in Panama, 300, 400, 500 kilos. It just happens all the time. It's just like rain around here. It's going to happen. Back to politics again, this time with who's this? Siglo. The PRD is also getting ready for the 2014 elections. Their candidate is going to be a guy named Juan Carlos Navarro. He used to be the mayor of Panama City. He ran as a candidate last time as a vice president for Balbina Herrera, and they lost, got their butts kicked. But he's coming back, and also he's cleaned house with two other guys that were running, his cousin, Samuel Luis Navarro, and another guy named Laurentino Cortizo. Now, those two guys have said they're not going to be candidates anymore, and they're going to support Juan Carlos Navarro. And then, to be honest with you, there's nobody really else in the PRD that has a chance of beating Juan Carlos Navarro in a primary, so it's looking better and better that he's going to be the PRD's candidate for 2014. So that leaves Navarro for PRD, probably Juan Carlos Varela for the Panaministas, and then who knows for the CD. So that's the politics continue to evolve along those lines. Let's see. Here's a thing that caught my eye in the Mi Diario newspaper. They're saying that there's an increase in the number of people who have been disappeared. In other words, they're gone. You can't call it a kidnapping until you know that they've been kidnapped. But there's 3 cases right now in the Panamanian press of Panamanians that are missing, and then you add to that cases like Ed Moynan and the Canadian in Bocas del Toro, and Yvonne Baldelli in Bocas from last year. And it's just the feeling is that there are more cases of people who are missing. There's an 18-year-old girl who went missing. There's a 27-year-old guy who went missing. And then in the area of San Francisco and Panama City. And then there's a case of Vernon Ramos Lopez, which I'm working on right now. But anyway, there seems to be just in general an increase of people who have gone missing for one reason or another. So that's that. And then the last item I'm going to cover here is they're looking to increase parking in Panama City. The mayor of Panama City wants to build parking garages basically under city parks to, underground. So on the surface level, the park is still the park, but underneath there's many levels of parking just as a way to increase places for people to put cars. And they're talking about changing the law to demand that if you build a building, you have to have X number of parking spots. I mean, urban planning. There's just no place to park in Panama City. It's getting harder and harder to find a place to park. Okay, with that, earlier I spoke to a friend of mine, Kevin Bradley, and asked him to give me an update on things having to do with insurance in general. Kevin's a friend of mine, and he always knows what's going on with insurance stuff. So with that, I'm going to toss it to that audio clip, and then thank you very much. Let me see, I got out of here in less than 10 minutes, I think, so looks like it might work. All right, let's see how quick I can toss this up on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye now. Good morning, Kevin Bradley. How are you doing?
I'm as fine as I can be. How may I help you, Don?
I'm just looking to see if you can give me just a kind of a quick update of what's going on in Panama in the world of insurance. What should people be thinking about?
Okay, well, a lot of car accidents, of course. One of my clients was even involved in in the death of a pedestrian last 2 weeks. So that was a serious problem. Um, a couple of flood claims, the recent rains.
Can we
But go ahead.
can we talk about that situation with the death of a pedestrian? That's something that could happen to anybody at any time, right?
Yes. Well, in the early evening, in the dark, apparently an intoxicated pedestrian wandered in front of my client's vehicle. He hit the pedestrian, then a bus ran him over and killed him. So both of them were detained, and my client only spent one night in the custody of the police, and I sent the insurance company and I sent a lawyer to get him out the next day, but he's going to need legal advice, and it was a serious situation.
But
Normally,
that's
go ahead.
that's happened to me. I've had, just you're driving down the road and then there's some drunk on the side of the road and some guy who's just basically almost unable to walk, but there he is in the road, I mean, it could happen to anybody, literally.
Yeah, well, my client tried to avoid the guy. It didn't happen. He hit him, and then apparently it was the bus that killed him, but that'll come out. And he must have been intoxicated because the authorities let my client go, and I have a good lawyer for him who got him out the next day.
All right,
But
so let's just
you were required to be detained for 7 or 8 days, I believe, if there was a death involved in an automobile accident.
really, okay.
Oh yeah, serious.
All right. Well, okay. So in that case, what you report it to the authorities. It's obviously good to have. Okay, let's say for example, there's uh, because you've got car insurance and he's covered for damages
Yes.
against third parties, correct?
Yeah. Bodily injury liability, of course. If you
Okay.
hit somebody, hits a pedestrian. And what the insurance will provides legal assistance, legal
Okay.
advice. The car was detained, but we're working to get the car taken out of the corral. So,
All right.
the insurance company steps up to the plate to defend and help the guy.
So the most important thing is have insurance, make sure it's paid up, make sure it's active, make sure your premiums are paid, and you've got a valid policy so that you're
Call,
covered for this kind of thing, correct?
yes, call the emergency roadside assistance number, which should be a little sticker on your windshield. Call your broker, call your insurance company, get the insurance involved immediately.
And also things like don't leave the scene.
Yes,
Make sure the police are involved. Don't try to do anything stupid to cover it up or anything like that.
exactly. And try not to admit guilt,
Yeah.
if you,
All right.
not a wise thing.
Kevin Bradley, thank you very much, man. I appreciate your time.
Pleasure talking
All
with you,
right.
Don. Bye.
I know.